Everybody, we're reading 105 to 120 of One Amazing Elephant. A smack in the face. So I'm getting braver. Plus, Queenie Grace is shaking a little, so I decide to carefully stand beside her while Henry Jack works. I pat her gently as he uses the dropper to dribble brownish orange liquid onto Queenie Grace's cigarette burn. Red blossoms out like a blooming flower on the elephant's rough gray skin. It's okay, girl, I whisper. It's okay. But the elephant doesn't like the iodine. She flinches and quivers, and then she swings her trunk hard. Queenie Grace's trunk slaps my face. It feels like the hand of a boneless giant. Ow! I holler, holding a hand to my cheek. I sink to my knees in the grass. She hit me! I don't think she tried to hit you, says Henry Jack. I know, but still. Oh, it hurts. I stand up, holding my cheek. Queenie Grace just looks at me. Then I step back, until no part of the elephant can possibly reach me. I'm rubbing my cheek. It smarts, and I'm starting to have a headache, too. What's going on? Who the heck was screaming? Can't we have any peace around here, even on Christmas? It's Grandma Violet, standing on the little porch and yelling across the yard. No worries, Henry Jack calls back. Just a little accident with an elephant slap. It's fine. Yeah, I say. You can go back inside, Grandma. I'm fine. But my grandma obviously doesn't believe that because she's already making her way across the yard, past the tree, directly to me. I keep my hands on my cheek. Let me see, Grandma Violet commands. I take away my hand. Good grief, my grandma says. There's a huge red mark. I bet that's going to bruise. I shrug. It's okay, I say. No, says Grandma Violet, it's not okay. Julia comes out wearing shorts that are way too short and a top that barely covers her belly button. What happened? She asks. Queenie Grace accidentally slapped Lily, Grandma says. Julia strolls over, plucks down her shorts. It doesn't look too bad, she says. How did it happen? Oh, it was an accident, I say. I can't believe that I'm actually defending the elephant. Mike's watching now from the doorway of the trailer, blowing smoke. What happened? He asks. Oh, it was an accident, says Henry Jack. Grandma Violet shakes a finger at the elephant, the way a mother lovingly reprimands a little kid. Queenie Grace, she exclaims, you know better. No, she doesn't, yells fire-eating Charlie, who's back outside smoking a cigar. It's a wild animal, and it's going to act wild. I keep telling you people. Hush, Charlie, Grandma snaps back. It's none of your business. It's my business when the elephant wallops one of my dogs. Your dog was biting her leg, Grandma shrieks. Well, don't worry, it won't happen again, fire-eating Charlie shouts. Because of that elephant, I have to keep my dogs inside. The only time they come out is when they need to go potty. Henry Jack snickers. Go potty, he whispers. Big tough fire-eating cigar smoking Charlie and his itsy widow doggies that wear pink tutus and go potty. Plus that ugly beard of his. Did you know that a beard has more germs than a toilet? Ugh, I say. Thanks for sharing that. Charlie's got a point about the danger, Mike calls in between puffing away. A wild animal is going to do wild things. It's in their nature. Zip it, Mike, Grandma says. The thing hurt your granddaughter, Mike says. Smacked her right in the face, and you're not going to put her in chains. No, says Grandma Violet. I'm not. Queenie Grace is obviously not herself, but none of us are quite right at this time, so let it go. Mike throws down his cigarette and grinds it out with his flip-flop, then throws up his hands. I'm going in, he says. You guys interrupted my TV show. Julia is not expressing any opinion. She's now sitting in a lawn chair smoking, inspecting her legs like a monkey picking bugs. Don't know what my daughter sees in that man, Grandma mutters. She's sweating and she lifts her long hair from her neck with one hand, fanning her face with the other. Grandma Violet is wearing a t-shirt version of the ugly Christmas sweater, all green and red with a Rudolph and Santa. Rudolph has a red light for his nose and blinks on, off, on, off. I'm sorry, Lily, honey, Grandma says. She pulls me into a hug. Not a very relaxing visit, is it? I apologize for everything. It's okay, I say. No, Grandma says, it's not okay. Poor Grandpa would have hated all this commotion. He would have wanted you to have a nice, peaceful Christmas visit. And then Grandma notices the red blotch on Queenie Grace. What is that red spot? She asks, and Henry Jack looks at me. We both shuffle our feet. I have no idea what to say, and apparently neither does Henry Jack. The silence is heavy as Grandma bends close to inspect the red spot on Queenie Grace's skin. Why, there's a little circle of a burn mark, Grandma says. It's the size of a cigarette. Did Mike burn her? She asks, a look of horror crossing her face. Yes, Henry Jack says, with a cigarette when you were taking off the chains. We went and got some iodine, put it on the burn. I thought maybe we should wait to tell you. You already have so much on your mind. Plus, we aren't completely 100% sure until now. Not like swear your life on it certain. We were hoping that maybe it was an accident, I add, my voice quietly and trembling. This was no accident. That man, Grandma Violet says, he's going to have to go. Juliet, get over here. Julia heaves herself up, saunters over. Look what your boyfriend did, Grandma says. She points to the burned spot on Queenie Grace. With a cigarette, for heaven's sake. What is wrong with that man? Julia glances at the burn. Oh, Mom, she says. I'm sure it was an accident, and it probably wasn't even Mike. It was Mike, all right, and it was on purpose, Henry Jack says. We saw him. Me and Lily were watching. Julia's eyes widen and confusion covers her face. But why? She says. Why on earth would he do that? Queenie Grace is so sweet. Anybody who would hurt an elephant like that, says Grandma, has problems. Big problems. Well, I told you about his childhood and all that, says Julia. He had it rough. Remember his mother pushed him down the steps, pulled his hair and stuff? His childhood was tough. That is no excuse, Grandma Violet says. That man needs to own his mistakes, take responsibility. Why? I have a mind to call the police on him. Mom, says Julia, please, give him one more chance. Grandma just takes a big breath, shakes her head. Go tell him, she says, slow and firm. Tell him to get out of here and never come back. I don't want him in my home. Julia stomps off. Henry Jack and I stare at her feet. Maybe we shouldn't have told you, he says to Grandma. It's like you don't need that on top of everything else. Oh, what's good you told me, honey, Grandma says to Henry Jack. We all need to look out for one another. Grandma hugs Henry Jack, then me. She leans into Queenie Grace and kisses her skin. I'm so sorry, she says to the elephant. I'm so sorry you've had to deal with him. Grandma steps back, looks at Henry Jack and me. Mike's not happy with himself, she says, and it comes out against everything and everyone else. Not that it is an excuse. It is what it is. I nod. This is beginning to sound like a conversation with the school guidance counselor. How's your face, sweetie? Grandma asks. It's okay, it's fine. Grandma just looks up at Queenie Grace's face for a few minutes as her Christmas shirt winks off and on. Queenie Grace looks back, blinking. There's love in her eyes, love in Grandma's eyes, a shared bond between them. No more swinging that trunk, Grandma says to the elephant. Be a good girl. She'll be good, Henry Jack says. Queenie Grace is the best elephant I know. Trunks are very difficult to manage. I did not mean to hit girl Lily in the face. Humans just don't understand. Trunks are sometimes very difficult to manage. My skin is beginning to cool. Violet tells me to be good. I always do my best to be good. If only Bill were here. An elephant without her mahout is nothing. Sunburn. Grandma goes inside and there's a sound of yelling. Henry Jack and I act if it is not happening. You look like you have a sunburn, I say. Shoot, Henry Jack says, studying his arm, then his legs. I do. Oh, my mom is going to kill me if the sunburn doesn't kill me first. Sunburn could kill you? Sure. With this skin condition, I'm supposed to be super careful. So why aren't you? I am. It's just that I forgot in the excitement of actually having something to hang out with. Kids our age aren't exactly that common here in Gibtown. I noticed. Henry Jack and I walk quickly back to his house so that he can use his sunburn cream. His mother smells it from the hall and comes floating into his room. Henry Jack O'Toole, she says, his name all spaced out like seeds in a garden. You are sunburnt. I know, says Henry Jack. Not that bad, actually. Don't worry, Mom. I'm taking care of it. Faith holds a hand to her heart. I swear you give me a heart attack sometimes, she says. But then she remembers about my grandpa having a heart attack because her face scrunches and she changes the subject. So, Lily, Faith says, did you inherit your mother's talent for the flying trapeze? I don't think so, I reply. I'm scared of heights. Have you ever tried? Well, no, it's not like there's lots of opportunities for that in West Virginia. Faith laughs. She tosses back her long black hair and lifts her arms, pretending to be flying on a trapeze. One day while you're here, she says, I will teach you. I'll teach you to fly. Henry Jack slathers himself with more smelly lotion, and he promises to stay inside for the rest of daylight hours. We both sit on top of the top bunk and this time, heads grazing the ceiling. It's weird to think that his brother slept here. How's your asthma? Henry Jack asks, and I shrug. Good. Normal. How's your sunburn? Bad. Normal. So, do you want to play a game or something? Henry Jack asks. We could play video games or this game called Apples to Apples that I got for Christmas. Cards? No thanks, I reply. I guess I'd better get back to my grandma's, see if Trulia got rid of Mike. Why do you call her Trulia? That's her name. But she's your mom. Yeah, but no, not really. She left when I was like 3. My dad raised me. I only see her every now and then. So why'd she leave? Beats me. I'm still trying to figure that out. We live in this awesome place called Magic Mountain, a campground with a swimming pool and a mini golf and hiking trails. It's a great place, at least in the summer when all the flowers are blooming and we can be outside. Winter's not so good. Sounds like you're pretty lucky, Henry Jack says. You get to go to school, a regular school. If you were like me, on the road, you'd have to mostly learn on your own, plus have a tutor. I shrug. Yeah, I say, I guess. It must feel weird, though, he says, not to have your mom. It does. I used to actually pretend she was dead because I thought that was better than knowing she just didn't want to stay with us. Henry Jack's quiet for a minute. At least I have a great dad, I say, looking for the bright side. And our campground, and my painting. I'd love to paint more than just about anything. That's one thing that Queenie Grace and I have in common, painting. Actually, it might be the only thing we have in common. Grandpa taught us both of us to paint. Speaking of Queenie Grace, says Henry Jack, see that picture hanging over there? He points to a painting with lashes of blue and green and purple and red. Queenie Grace painted that, he says. Me and Jeremy Zach stood together and we asked her to paint us. And that's what she painted. Cool. I think I'm the green and the blue and green, says Henry Jack. He was more fiery and hyper, so he must have been the purple and red. Just then my cell phone beeps with a text. It's from my grandma, I say. I didn't even know she knew how to text. She wears Chuck Taylor sneakers and has purple hair, says Henry Jack. She knows how to text. I kicked Mike out, says the text. He won't be here when you get back. She kicked him out, I say. She got rid of Mike. Good, says Henry Jack. I hope she doesn't show up at the funeral. My stomach drops. What's wrong? asks Henry Jack. He flips back his hair, peering at me. The funeral, I say. I've never been to one. There's a bright side to funerals, too, he says. You get to say goodbye. Look at their face one last time. I sigh. I'm nervous. Oh, don't worry, says my new friend, and his voice is like a warm, fuzzy blanket thrown over me when I'm cold. I'll be there for you. And I know that he will. Queenie Grace feels pain for Henry Jack. My burn is feeling a little bit better after just one day. My trunk is also healing. My back is healing. The only thing that is not healing is my heart. It is still broken, missing Bill. But I'm trying to enjoy the Tuesday morning sunshine, watching the girl Lily paint a picture of the alligator boy. Except in this picture, Henry Jack does not have alligator skin. He does not have elephant skin. Henry Jack has the skin of a normal boy in Lily's painting. He sits in a lawn chair in the yard, smiling, staring into the distance as she paints away. Ugh, I wish Henry Jack did not have his wrinkled skin. I know that it gives him pain. He is in pain today with red color from the sun on his face. I feel pain for Henry Jack. You feel pain for me. That is what best friends do.